Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into speaking English more fluently, actually.
Oh,
And so we're working with a YouTube video today, and it had a lot of really, really cool information in there.
I was really impressed.
I was really impressed too, and like some surprising things that I had
Yeah.
never thought about before, so I'm really excited to talk about it.
Yeah, me too.
So the video starts out and says, like, why do we hesitate when we speak
Right.
English? Like, what is the reason behind that?
Yeah.
And it lists like a bunch of reasons why people might hesitate, and I found that really interesting.
Yeah, it really kind of breaks it down into like four main reasons why people will pause or hesitate when they're speaking.
Yeah.
Um, and the first one, which I think is something that everybody can relate to, is just lack of confidence.
Yeah.
Like sometimes when you're speaking English, you might be afraid of making a mistake or saying the wrong
That's
thing.
totally. Yeah.
And that can really trip you up and make you, pause or hesitate more.
Yeah, I think especially when you're first, starting out, it's like so easy to get in your head about it.
Oh, absolutely. And it can be really intimidating.
Yeah.
Especially, if you're talking to like a native speaker, somebody who you perceive as being more fluent than you.
Right, right.
So yeah, lack of confidence is definitely a big one.
So what about vocabulary gaps?
Yeah. So that's the second one that they talk about. It's that, obviously if you don't know the word for something,
Right.
it's going to be really hard to express yourself.
Right.
And so that can lead to, those awkward pauses where you're like
Yeah.
searching for the right word.
Totally.
But what's interesting is that sometimes those vocabulary gaps are actually not the main problem.
Right.
They're a symptom of a deeper issue.
Okay.
Which is the next reason that they talk about, which is translating in your head.
Wait, so you're saying that when we try to translate from our native language into English,
Yes.
that can actually slow us down?
It can absolutely slow you down, yeah.
Interesting. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, because you're basically adding an extra step in the process, right?
Okay.
Your brain is trying to come up with the thought in your native language and then translate it into English, and that's just a lot of work.
Wow.
And it can really hinder your fluency.
Yeah.
So the key is to try to start thinking directly in English.
Okay. But how do you, like, train your brain to do that?
Yeah, that's the big question, right? And it's something that takes time and practice, but the video gives some really good tips on how to start doing that. And one of them is, starting with simple things.
Okay.
Like describing your everyday activities in English.
So, like, I am walking.
Exactly, yeah. I am eating. I am drinking coffee.
Got it. Okay.
Just get your brain used to formulating those thoughts in English without having to translate.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So there were four, right?
Right.
So confidence, vocabulary,
All right.
translating in your head, and what's the fourth?
The fourth one is nervousness and pressure.
Okay.
Which kind of goes hand in hand with the lack of confidence, but it's more about like the situation that you're in.
Okay.
Like if you're giving a presentation or you're in a job interview or something like that.
Right.
The pressure of the situation can make you more likely to hesitate and stumble over your words.
Because your brain just kind of shuts down.
Yeah, your brain kind of freezes up.
Yeah, totally.
So that's definitely something to be aware of as well.
Okay, so those are all reasons why people might hesitate when speaking English. Now, how do we reduce those pauses?
Right. So that's what the video goes into next, is some practical tips and techniques for becoming more fluent.
Okay.
And one of the things that they talk about, which is kind of surprising, is the use of filler words.
Wait, so like...
yeah, like,
like all the things that we're always told to avoid.
Really?
Yeah,
they actually make the point that filler words can be helpful in certain situations because they can help you to keep the conversation flowing. They give you a little bit of time to think.
Like a bridge. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So instead of trying to eliminate all filler words, which can actually make you sound more robotic and unnatural, the idea is to just be mindful of how you're using them and to make sure that you're not, overusing them to the point where it becomes distracting.
Right.
But a few well-placed ums and ahs can actually help you to sound more natural and fluent.
That's so interesting.
It is interesting, yeah.
I like that. Okay, so what about you said shadowing was one of the techniques too, right?
Yep. Yes, shadowing is a really great technique.
Okay.
And basically what it involves is listening to a native speaker and then repeating what they say.
Okay.
So you might listen to like a podcast or an audiobook.
Got it.
Or even like a YouTube video
Okay.
And you would listen to a short segment, pause it, and then try to imitate the speaker as closely as possible.
So like their intonation?
Yes, intonation, rhythm, pronunciation, even their pauses.
Wow, that's intense.
It's a really good way to kind of train your mouth and your brain to produce those sounds naturally.
Yeah.
And to get a feel for the rhythm and the flow of the language.
So it's like mimicking our way to fluency.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love it. Okay, so that's really cool.
Yeah.
What other surprises does this video have in store for us?
Well, there's a lot more, actually, so we're just getting started.
Oh, good.
But we've covered some really important foundational points about, why we hesitate and some basic techniques for overcoming those hesitations.
I'm excited to hear the rest.
Me too.
So what else is there?
Let's dive into some more specific techniques and strategies for really boosting your fluency and taking it to the next level.
All right, let's do it. Let's go.
Okay.
Okay, so more techniques. Hit me.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's not even about, the confidence or the nervousness. It's about just not having, the right phrases at your fingertips.
Right.
So one thing that this video suggests is, learning phrases instead of just individual words.
Oh, okay. So could you give me an example?
Yeah, so, instead of just knowing the word opinion, that's my opinion.
Right.
You could have a phrase like, in my opinion, or from my point of view, or if you ask me. Right.
Okay.
Those are all phrases that mean the same thing, but they're like little chunks that you can just pull out.
Cool.
Instead of having to build the sentence from scratch.
Right. So you have these kind of pre-made
yes, exactly.
building blocks.
Building blocks, yeah.
That's really cool. I like that.
Yeah, and it can really help to speed up your speaking.
Makes sense.
Because you're not having to think as much about the individual words. You're just thinking about the phrase as a whole.
Okay, what else?
Well, another thing that they talk about is active listening.
Oh, well, yeah.
Which you might be thinking, well, I already listen to podcasts and stuff, but active listening is different.
Okay.
It's really engaging with the material that you're listening to and trying to anticipate what the speaker is going to say next.
Oh, okay.
So, if somebody's telling a story, you're kind of trying to guess what's going to happen next. Or if somebody's giving a presentation, you're trying to think about what their next point is going to be.
I see.
And this is really helpful because it forces you to process the language more quickly.
Right.
And it also helps you to stay focused.
So I'm always a couple steps behind if I'm not doing that.
Yeah, and it can really make a difference in your fluency.
Okay, I like that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got learning phrases, we've got active listening. What else?
Let's see. Oh, they also talk about imitating native speakers.
Oh, okay. So finding somebody that you admire.
Yeah, exactly.
And copying how they speak.
Yeah. So if there's a particular YouTuber or podcaster or actor, whoever, that you really like the way that they speak English, pay attention to how they use their voice, how they pronounce words, what kind of rhythm and intonation they use.
And try to kind of make that your own.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's cool.
It's a good way to kind of pick up on those natural patterns of speech.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Now what about, I feel like we talked a lot about the theory, but what can we do to put this into practice? What are some exercises?
Yes, good question. So they have a lot of really practical exercises in this video.
Okay, good.
One of them is called the 1-minute speaking challenge.
1-minute speaking challenge. Okay.
Yeah. And basically what you do is you choose a topic.
Okay.
Anything at all.
Right.
And you just talk about it for 1 minute without stopping.
A whole minute.
Yeah. It sounds kind of scary, but it's a really good way to just push yourself to speak and to not be afraid of making mistakes.
Right. Just keep going.
Yeah, just keep going.
Yeah.
And you don't have to start with a full minute. You can start with 30 seconds or even 15 seconds.
Right.
And just kind of work your way up.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
What else?
Another one is story retelling.
Okay.
So you listen to a short story or maybe a podcast episode or something like that.
Good.
And then you try to retell it in your own words.
Okay.
Focusing on using the vocabulary and the grammar that you've been working on.
Got it.
And that's a really good way to practice your speaking skills and your comprehension skills at the same time.
It's like a 2-for-1.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
Let's see. Oh, another one is speed conversation practice.
Speed conversation, okay.
Yeah. So this is where you set a timer for maybe 2 minutes.
Okay.
And you just have a conversation with a friend or even with yourself in the mirror.
In the mirror.
Yeah, it sounds weird, but
it can be really helpful.
Okay.
And the idea is just to speak as quickly as you can.
Right, and not worry about making mistakes.
Not worrying about making mistakes, just getting those words out.
Okay.
And if you don't have a speaking partner, they also suggest using speech-to-text apps.
Oh.
Which is really cool because you can just speak into the app and it'll transcribe what you're saying, and then you can see like where you might be making mistakes or where you're hesitating or,
Okay, so that's like a real-time feedback.
Real-time feedback, yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Now, I have to say, we've been talking a lot about like techniques and exercises.
Right.
It feels like there's something else, though. Like there's a bigger picture here.
Yes.
That we're missing.
You're right.
What's the missing piece? What's the missing piece?
Mindset.
Mindset.
Yeah, so like all of these techniques and exercises are great.
Right.
But if you don't have the right mindset, they're not going to be as effective.
Okay, so what kind of mindset do we need to have?
Well, one of the biggest things is to not be afraid of making mistakes.
Oh, yeah, totally.
A lot of people get really caught up in trying to be perfect.
Right.
And they're so afraid of making a mistake that they end up not speaking at all.
Yeah, they don't even try.
They don't even try, yeah.
Because they're too scared.
Yeah, and so the video really emphasizes the importance of, like, embracing mistakes as part of the learning process.
So, like, looking at a mistake as an opportunity to learn and grow.
Yeah, it's like every time you make a mistake, you're actually getting closer to fluency.
Yeah, because you're learning from it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Another important mindset shift is to focus on communication rather than perfection.
Okay.
So the goal isn't to sound like a native speaker.
Right.
The goal is to be able to communicate your ideas effectively.
To be understood.
Exactly. And so if you can do that, even if you make a few mistakes along the way, that's okay.
That's a win.
Yeah, that's a win.
Okay, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
What else?
And then finally, the video talks about the importance of projecting confidence.
Oh, okay.
Even if you don't feel confident.
Fake it till you make it?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
But it's more than just faking it.
Okay.
It's about, like, using your body language and your voice to convey confidence.
Got it.
So, like, making eye contact, standing up straight,
okay,
speaking clearly and loudly.
Yeah.
And that can actually help you to feel more confident as well.
Right, because when you act like you're confident, you start to believe it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Wow, this deep dive has been so insightful.
It has.
I feel like I have a lot of tools and ideas that I can implement to improve my own English fluency.
Yeah, me too.
So for our listeners out there, what's like one thing that you think they can take away from this? Like one small step that they can start doing today?
I would say the biggest thing is just to start speaking.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Right.
Find opportunities to practice.
Yeah.
And just remember that fluency is a journey.
Right. It's not a
destination.
Destination, yeah.
Yeah. So just keep practicing and you'll get there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed it. Until next time.
Happy speaking.
Happy speaking.